What's up, guys? Welcome to episode
Season 3, episode 4.
64? Okay, 64 it is. Let me get this out of my system because there's a good chance I'm going to be doing this throughout the episode today. So, guys, I don't know if you could tell me where this comes from. Guys, while you're filing with the questions, again, the reason I'm doing this is because yesterday, Enrique looked up this video, and I've seen it before. I think I might have said the story, told him the story, and it's gratata. So we were laughing. It was in my head yesterday, and I just could not get that out of my head, and I just kept doing it in the afternoon. Well, today, fortunately, it's gone out of my head. So as we're getting ready, guess what Mike and Enrique do this morning? They bring it back up again, and now it's in my head again. So next time when I submit it, Enrique, and I just yell out, now you know why I'm doing this. Guys, there's the reason I call it armpit grip, because that's what it is. Some people call it shotgun grip. So if I'm going to hold a shotgun, I never held a shotgun, I think. But I'd imagine it would be like this. So look at my arm positioning, and this is quite open. This is the grip. This is a very, very strong grip. So again, try to stay away from his elbow. You can be cupping it because that's sort of like the backup plan, but this is not where the strong grip is. The grip is here. So it becomes very, very strong grip. So go ahead, Mike. All right. So don't try to hold on to the guy's elbow, despite the fact that you think it's a strong grip, like this. He can turn his wrist, he can turn his shoulder, he can turn his arm, which now allows him to control the angle of his arm. But if I clamp down on it with my armpit, he has a very hard time turning his arm. Now try to back out, Mike. So it's a very strong grip. I always look for the armpit grip if it's there. It has to be a quick transition. I either have it, so a lot of times when I armbar Mike from here, I already have it. I don't worry about the arm. It's right there. All right? But if I can't, so again, this is the grip. Go ahead, pull. Watch what happens when I switch to his elbow. Go ahead, keep pulling. So even though people tend to feel that the elbow grip is stronger, it's intuitively you feel it's stronger, but it's not. That's why I call it armpit grip, because the armpit is the critical one. And the best part about the armpit grip, it allows you to have not the greatest body positioning, not the greatest leg positioning, especially for arm bars and knee bars as well, but especially or even heel hooks. That it allows you to have not a perfect body positioning, not perfect leg positioning. Some of the arm bars are quite ugly, actually, in terms of like what you imagine to be a perfect arm bar. But it sort of excuses a lot of possible problems that you might have because it's such a strong grip, and the leverage on that is so strong. So again, guys, it's armpit. So what I would do is it's very simple. Just grab your training partner, just clamp down, and have him pull back. Is that all your strength you have? Now watch. I'm going to switch to the elbow. All right. So this is a good drill for you to hone. I do the same thing with the head grip. So of course. So those are good drills for you to do. And it doesn't require a high level training partner. You could do anybody. Hey, just take usually if Mike is an open guard and we sort of start to pass my guard, Mike, sort of like right here, we fight. I sit up, and right now I grab this elbow, but as soon as I do, I switch into the armpit grip. So initially I just want to make sure I pull him in, but now because when he's passing your guard, his momentum and his thinking is forward. What?
The more you look to the camera, the more this is kicking on.
Enrique wanted it a little bit of a harder arm lock, so.
Enrique. ¿Por qué?
So far.
As he recovers, guys, don't be lazy. So as he's trying to recover, he's trying to put his hand back to where it came from. So as he's recovering, I move his wrist. As he's pulling, I don't pull him forward. I let him move it outside. I sit up to make sure if I try to move it outside here, he can recover. I move it, I fence it off between my torso, and then I sit back. Now I'm in split guard. When you threaten to go north-south and his head is not in a position, what I mean by threatening to go north-south, if I'm cross-side, I want to, by going diagonal, you're threatening north-south already. So this hand that's usually up high slips down towards your hips. Because what he's looking to do is, you got, come on. Yeah, he got caught in the south-north. Live, that would be very difficult. But what it does is he's trying to bust out the back way. Almost inevitably, the guy will move that hand down to you towards your hips. So when he does, so let's start out normal. Yeah, as I, yeah. It's yours, it's Mike's fault. You got that phrase back in my head, huh?
Let that out.
Watch this. Turn this way so you can see. So what I'm going to do is if so when I isolate his leg, can they see other than my backside?
Yes.
So
You said you wanted more views, right?
I do. So you can see how it's already isolated without me. If I just lean back, there's already pressure in the elbow. But a lot of people make the mistake as when they grab the arm with their hand, it's easy to retract. This is much harder. He cannot retract this. So I don't clamp down on it hard. I just kind of gently keep it, in that angle and make sure that if he decides to pull it out, he can. But people do this. They just want to hold on to the hand. It's easy to retract. The second big mistake is, watch what's going to happen. If I bring my shin, so right now, turn. You can see that my shin is quite far from his torso. Look how far it is. You would think there is nothing. Normally I would set it up with my chest on it, but I just want you to see that even with this far, it's on. Okay? I need to have plenty of room for my leg to rise. If I bring it too tight, people assume that tighter is better. In jiu-jitsu, generally speaking, that's true if you're choking somebody, but not all setups are necessarily tighter is better. This is one of them. I want to be pretty far from his torso. This is when it works. So watch if I bring it in right against his torso. Go. Yeah. So it's, if the guy on the bottom, wants to defend it, they just keep moving their torso closer. So I actually keep it quite far. So when I attack this is where I'm doing it. Hold on one second. Look, I know this is done. Look at the space. It's probably 1 foot. Okay? So that's the key. Again, don't clamp down on that elbow or the arm with your hand. Let the armpit grip be the controlling force, and make sure your shin is at least this far from his torso. Otherwise, it will not work. I teach this armbar a lot. Again, it's not super practical. But I teach it because if you play around with this armbar, armbarring is all about 4 things, all right? It's the grip. In this case, I use armpit grip. It's about the angle. This angle is kind of oddball angle. A lot of times, it's not even 90 degrees. Fulcrum. In this case, the fulcrum is my inner thigh, not my hips. And follow-up. So this is kind of an oddball armbar. If Enrique were to escape, it leads him straight into a triangle. So I teach this armbar quite a bit because, like I said, it's not super practical, but it does teach you better understanding of those 4 principles and how do you apply them in small movements to make something that looks like it's lost and you have a very strong submission. So sometimes when people can, put their arm in that position, they feel like they should be safe. No. It's quite strong, it's quite unusual, and like I said, I've hit that on high-level guys, and again, any movement in jiu-jitsu, you should always be thinking about, okay, this is my attack, and what is my follow-up? So you always go, the follow-up is such a strong triangle because as he's coming up, so when you start to lock up your triangle, he's not even properly on his knees to start immediately defending. He's coming up in a sort of very low. So watch how low he is. So as he's coming up, he's not even, his posture is nowhere near a good place to start defending. So, you want to make sure when you triangle people, their posture is broken. In this case, it's super broken. And guys, understand this is not the only top side control I play. You have to understand, if you're going to deal with a large, strong, athletic, explosive guy, you have to keep switching your hands. So every time I switch my hand, his escape is different. So this is my favorite way, but now Enrique starts, I switch back. Now I have an underhook, and I'm going to mount. So anytime he starts to counter my top side control, I switch my hands, and now he has to go back and reset his frames to be able to escape effectively, even big guy. So if a big guy is constantly swimming his hands, trying to put him in the right place, he's not getting out, so it gives you plenty of time to eventually hit him with a submission.
I think there's something wrong with my arm.
It was Mike.
What? I only do the camera.
All right, let me go get your arm. Do the guard pass. So as he's passing through, all right, what I'm looking to do is make him overshoot. I do that with my inside leg. In this case, it's my, can they see me waving with my foot? My
Yeah.
right leg. So I set him slightly forward, and my hands frame. I'm not lifting him with my hands, okay? I'm just framing. As his weight gets light, I use my hands as an anchor, and I start to invert inside. Once we're here, guys,
Tap.
you get a very strong knee bar. So we're gonna look at it from 4 different angles. So as he's coming through, I'm already getting ready. Guys, if he settles down, you could always bump him forward. Again, it's gonna be the inside leg. Bump him forward.
Tap.
This side.
Tap.
So, guys, on the last one, I did not wait for him. So sometimes you're gonna have better success rate if you don't wait for him. We're gonna do it one more time from this angle. You have a better success rate if you don't wait for him to settle down. So if you can start your inversion as he's coming down, that's your best time. That you're gonna face the least amount of resistance. All right, so let's look at it one more time. So again, if he settles down, I'm gonna bump him forward with my right leg, but it's better to just, before he brings his knee down, that's your best time.
Tap.
And this happens, so guys, remember the sprinkler, so this is, I call it short arm bar. Some people call it shotgun. I don't like the word shotgun because if anybody actually holds a shotgun, I'm guessing I'm right, but I'm not sure. But your elbow flares out. You kind of hold this like the shotgun like this. I want this instead. This is the key, not this. All right, so I call it short arm bar. Could be with hand on the elbow, could be just by itself. If he turns a little further away, that's a triangle. If it's a lot further away, that's an omoplata. And then the one when he really moves far away, it's a inverted armbar. Again, it's the armpit grip. Notice what I'm doing with my right foot. It stops him from if I don't do this, he can still use that arm. So I push it out to make sure he cannot retract it. He cannot use it that much. Notice how pull out your arm, Enrique. It's not possible. However, I'm lighting up, and I can I can tighten things up just by this very simple movement. Even if I put my hand on the floor, now I can just use my shin. So a lot of times I can shut it down right here. I lighten up on it. Notice how I lighten up on it. I flared out my elbow. So if you want to keep it tight, don't flare out your elbow. Keep it tight. I lighten up on it, allowing Enrique. This is very tight. I can usually shut it down here by drawing my elbow back and arching into it, but very slowly, guys. You can feel it's going to be it's very, very tight. You need to also have a training partner that you trust. That's not a meathead that can move with some control. All right, now if Enrique rolls, I'm sitting up to lighten up on it again. I don't want to break it. I want to settle down. And now, again, I don't need to bring the the leg over. All I need to do is bring my inner thigh in and draw back on my elbow. So as you know from split guard, basically what it does is breaks your opponent's posture. That's one. Misaligns him and exposes his head and arm. So as such, it allows you to immediately attack, whether it's a short armbar if he's kind of square up to you, triangle if he turns a little further away, omoplata if he turns all the way, and sometimes guys just put themselves into an inverted armbar. To me, the inverted armbar is probably the most difficult out of the 4 submissions, and it's rare. Most higher level guys will probably give you omoplata because it's probably easiest thing for them to defend. So when they give you inverted armbar, if you do this well, particularly if you have that armpit grip, it's extremely tight. So David's question was, how do you drill it? You can drill it solo. So I'm going to go through the movement. I'm going to do it solo. You can drill it solo, but the reality is you need to drill it with someone who's flexible, but also not super flexible. It doesn't have to be fully flexible, but there's things you could do to lighten up on the pressure, okay, to make sure you don't accidentally break your training partner's arm. Yeah, this one is really tough because this is probably out of the 3, so short armbar, triangle, and omoplata, I would consider fairly, fundamental moves in BJJ. The inverted armbar is an advanced one, so it requires some knowledge and some control over your body to make sure you could do this. But let's look at what I mean first, and then I'm going to try to do it solo. So when I hit some, and the guy starts to turn away. So first thing I try to do is block his far side arm so he cannot retract it altogether. He cannot roll completely freely. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to roll up on my shoulder. Notice that I'm flaring out my arm like up. If I keep it here, this gets too tight too quickly. So I'm opening my arm up a little bit to make sure that I don't accidentally finish him. Now, I actually have a finish here, okay? But usually what I need to do is, if I'm dealing with a more flexible training partner, I'm gonna roll through. So again, notice what I'm doing. I'm moving my elbow further forward to give him some flexibility. I can always finish by arching into it, okay? But I wanna make sure that this works against even a very high level and a flexible guy. So a lot of times they will roll. So again, I can always tighten it up by bringing my elbow, drawing my elbow back, tightens it up, bringing it forward, gives him some flexibility. It's still difficult for him to pull it out, but doesn't put the same pressure on the elbow as drawing the elbow back. All right, so let me do it solo. So you can do it solo, but to get real good understanding of this, you will need to do eventually with a partner. So when Enrique starts to turn far away. The bottom foot gets hooked behind the far side arm to make sure he cannot retract it altogether and he cannot roll over his shoulder. Then I'm gonna use his body to roll up on my shoulder. All right, notice that what I'm doing with my left arm, if I clamp down on it, it's too tight, okay? I don't wanna keep it too tight until I bring my shin over his head. Here, a lot of times, people will tap if they're inflexible, but I'm gonna lighten up on it again. I'm gonna roll through. And now, again, if I need to lighten up on it, my elbow is forward. If I need to lighten up, it's forward. If I basically decide that I want to finish here, I draw my elbow back and hips forward. But a lot of times I give him a chance. Again, moving my body forward also lightens up on it, allows him to roll. As he rolls, we wind up here. Now I can always just tighten up. All right, and then the amount of force necessary to do that is not very much. Okay, so you don't require a lot of force. So again, it's like this, literally this movement makes the guy go from, oh, it's on. You'll know when you got the guy's attention. So you do need to develop that sensitivity towards your training partners, sort of where is the break point. We'll see you next time, guys. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, tag.
Tell
Everything.
Your friends, your girlfriend, your mom, your grandpa.
We'll see you next time, guys.